And welcome once again to your show, Lideres del Futuro. My name is Rafael Vasquez, and today I want to continue the dialogue on the series on finances. Today we're going to be talking about what to do when considering buying a vehicle or a car. And again, with your show, a lot of the things that we want to do is we want to educate as many people as possible so that they don't become victims of a system that is designed to take advantage of us. So, what are cars that are most reliable? What are the vehicles that are the best options for us? Honda and Toyota have proven themselves over the decades that these are the most reliable vehicles because they last longer and the expenses in maintaining them and repairing them are not very high. It is better to never buy a new vehicle. And this is because the moment you finish buying or signing the paperwork on that vehicle is now a used vehicle. So the moment you leave the lot, then you're going to sell that car, but you can never sell it again as a new vehicle, which means you may end up losing up to thousands of dollars on the vehicle. So that's why it's best to buy used. And it's better to buy a vehicle that is between 20 and 90,000 miles. Again, this will give you a lot of time to be able to keep that vehicle. When buying a vehicle from a dealership, you always want to buy a vehicle that you plan to keep for at least 5 years. Especially if you're a young individual who, again, still hasn't bought a house, you're just trying to build credit, but you don't want to waste thousands and thousands of dollars on a vehicle. What you want to do is you want to be saving towards the major purchase, which is property or a home. Again, Toyota is specifically important here because Toyota has proven itself. Toyota is the largest company in regards to the number of vehicles that they sell every year in the whole planet. It is important for us to keep attention to that. And then when you're looking at a vehicle, which vehicle do I want to buy, what year, so on and so forth, you should always look on websites like kvb.com. Kelley Blue Book is one of the most reliable places to find information. So before you go to the dealer, you already want to decide which vehicle. This is the amount of mileage that the vehicle is being made available in the website that I'm looking at, and what's the best price that I should be paying for that. As you should understand, the dealer is in business to make money, therefore they're going to charge you whatever they want, but it's up to you to negotiate. You should also look up information about the issues with the vehicle. Sometimes information is available on Kelley Blue Book, or you can just Google a lot of information with the vehicle. Do remember that many, if not most of the companies, redesign their vehicles every 3, 4, and likely 5 years. So the first time the vehicle, the new redesigned vehicle is available is not the best time to buy that vehicle. So let's say you're buying a 2015 Honda Accord. If that's the first time this new version is available, that's not the year to buy. You want to buy the second year because all of the glitches, all of the bugs that the vehicle had during the first year have been fixed usually by the second time that the vehicle was made available. And again, should you buy a vehicle outright or borrow the money to be able to buy it? So the benefits of buying outright is you don't have monthly payments, you have no interest, you don't have to deal with other items such as those, but also sometimes dealers have incentives, like they may give you cash back, especially on new vehicles. And then again, if you lose your job, you don't have to worry about payments for the next 2-3 years. The drawbacks is if you buy it for cash, it doesn't really add to your credit history because you haven't been keeping up with the specific payments. So on the other hand, the benefits of making payments is that it provides you with the opportunity to increase credit, which again, if you're planning to buy a property in the future, whether it is a property without a house on it or a house, this credit is really what makes the difference. Again, it's really, really important. And for those individuals who maybe are not making thousands and thousands of dollars a month, it may make it a little bit more affordable to make payments because maybe on a Honda or a Toyota, you're making a payment of $250 or $300 a month. The drawbacks is that if the interest is 7% on the loan, you should really wait in purchasing a vehicle from a dealership. You maybe should get something from outside, a used vehicle that is still somewhat reliable, but paying 7% or more is really not a good thing because you're making the bank or the lender a lot of money and it's going to take you a long time, which means the car is going to be more expensive long term. And if you lose your job, for example, it's going to make it very difficult for you to make the payments on that vehicle, and you may end up having to take it back. By June of 2019, for example, there were at least 7 million people in the United States that were at least 90 days behind on their car payments. Again, that is a problem. People buy $40,000 vehicles, many of them buying new, but in reality, that doesn't help you. What that does, it puts you in a situation where you're going to be worrying every month about making the car payment. If you're getting a loan, you should decide on the vehicle you want before anything else. You should look up online and compare prices because in different dealers, and that's the beauty of being able to look for these vehicles online. And then you should find out if in a different dealer, even if you have to travel 10 more miles or 20 more miles, you should find out if in a different dealer, they have the vehicle at a cheaper price. Why? Because some of the dealers will match the prices from competitors just so that they can make the sale. Also, get an estimate from the insurance to make sure that you can afford it. Because again, insurance is not cheap and you want to have enough coverage. And I mentioned this in the previous conversation I had on finances. You can check that up on my YouTube channel or my podcast by the name Lideres del Futuro as well. And then once you have decided, yes, I can afford the insurance, yes, this is the price I'm willing to pay, then you apply for a car loan through a credit union. Credit unions, the money stays in the community. In many credit unions, 95% of the money is reinvested into the community. With banks, a lot of the money goes back to New York. A lot of the money goes back to large corporations. It doesn't stay in the community. Find out what your monthly payment is going to be based on the interest that they're charging you. And then ask yourself, can you afford it? If they're asking for 7% or higher interest, see if a family member will co-sign so that one, you'll develop credit, but the interest will be lower and you, in fact, will be able to keep up with the payments. Now, speaking specifically about insurance, you must always look at insurance prior to buying a car. You need to determine whether or not you can pay the insurance. For a lot of individuals, they want to get an expensive vehicle. They want to have, and they have to have full coverage because the bank or the credit union requires it. But based on the age of the driver, if you are too young, it's going to cost you a lot on insurance. I've had individuals who got a car that they're paying $400 for the car, but they're paying $450 for insurance every month. That is a bad investment. The vehicle brand. Again, if you get a BMW versus a Honda, the expenses are going to be very, very high. The year of the vehicle. Again, you don't want to get something too brand new because otherwise the cost of the insurance is going to be very, very high. It's going to be like buying two cars. Whether or not the vehicle that you're going to buy has anti-theft features, and if so, which, because then that could be one item that can lower the expenses of your insurance. If you are buying what they call a sports car, which is a car with two doors only, then the expenses on the insurance are going to go up. If you have any tickets or accidents in your record, that is going to drive up the cost of the insurance. And also the years of having insurance. If you have been driving and you haven't had insurance for 3 or more years in many states, the insurance will charge you additional money as a punishment for not having insurance for that period of time. And so it's important to look at that. Now, the other factor here in insurance is many individuals want to just cover the minimum. So even if the bank says, you have to have full coverage, what does full coverage mean? It means that if you have an accident, the insurance will help you cover the cost of the vehicle, and that's really what it means. But you also have to keep in mind, what if you are, by whatever reason, distracted and you don't notice and you crash into a Mercedes-Benz that costs $150,000? Well, if your insurance only covers, let's say, $30,000, then after that, you're on your own. And the other insurance company is going to come after you and they're going to sue you, and you're going to be paying half of your paycheck every month from now and for years to come to pay up that $150,000. That is why you should always get insurance. Even if it's going to cost you more, you should always get insurance that is going to cover not just your car, but the car that you may end up destroying. I had an individual, a young individual, who was texting and driving a month into getting a car, and he crashed and created a situation where 4 cars were hit. He was sued for $90,000 and it's been 5 years, and he's still making payments on those cars, right? So that is the problem, that he had the minimum $15,000 coverage. It wasn't enough for what destruction he caused. And then after you get all that insurance and the loan ready, what you do is you get to the dealer. It's better if you go with somebody who, especially if you're young, with somebody who has experience buying vehicles. These individuals are less likely to take advantage of you if you're with somebody who's older as well. Look around. You already know which car you want, but act like you just dare to look around. The dealer will say, oh, why don't we get you a brand new car? Or get you to really develop your credit by getting a lease. And every 2 to 3 years, you can come back and get a new vehicle. And that's how they get you. And then they say, in 2 years, instead of renewing the lease, you can choose to buy that vehicle and keep it. But you will have created a lot of credit. Now, again, don't let yourself be manipulated. They'll try to get you to go drive that brand new car, so you'll fall in love with the smell and the way it drives and everything else. Don't do that. Let them talk. And once they're done talking respectfully, then start negotiating the price of the vehicle. You already know how much it is worth. Now it's time for you to negotiate. So recently I assisted somebody in buying a used vehicle. And after they talked for a while and they offered this individual to buy a brand new car, and then after that they went for the idea of the lease, I stepped in when I was asked to do so. And then I said, here's the deal. This is the car we want. I'm not here to waste your time. I'm going to give you a number, and I want you to go directly to the manager, come back and tell us if you're willing to take that. If not, then we're walking, and that's perfectly fine. And the young individual that I assisted this time was willing to follow with this idea of leaving and going to look for another vehicle. And so what I did is I offered $1,000 less than what they were asking for the vehicle. And as a result of that, the lady went in. She acted like she was very surprised. She went in, she came back. A few minutes later, she's like, I don't know why, but the manager is willing to go with this. And here it is. And then she says, now let's go inside and we're going to look at whether or not you have good credit. So what they want is hopefully that you have bad credit so that then they can get you with that. And sometimes they know companies that, again, they will negotiate with to get you the loan. And unfortunately, that's where recently I spoke with a young man who's paying 24% interest on his vehicle. After he told me about that, this is a different individual. After we talked with him, I was able to get him into a credit union locally. And as a result of that, we were able to lower his interest to 12.5. And in 6 months, he'll be able to lower it to less than that. But again, once we agree on that, we went inside, and then that's when you tell them. You don't tell them ahead of time. That's when you tell them that you already have a loan approved. And as a result of that, they don't like it, but they're not going to get more money out of you. You don't buy extra add-ons. They'll try to sell you some type of insurance for the seats of the vehicle. They'll sell you something to supposedly keep the paint from, getting stained and this and that. Say thank you. I'm not interested in any of that. The only thing that you might be interested in is an extended warranty if you plan to, again, keep the vehicle for at least 5 years and you know that you're going to be putting a lot of miles on that vehicle. That's the only time that you would get an extended warranty because, again, you're going to have high mileage. And some of the newer vehicles, a computer that may go bad may cost you $1,500. So that's the only time that you really think about that. Again, you want to purchase gap insurance. Gap insurance, what it does is maybe there is a car crash, your vehicle is destroyed, and instead of you, maybe the other insurance says the value of the car is less than what you owe the bank. And in that situation, they will pay whatever they're going to pay. And then gap insurance kicks in and they'll finish paying whatever you owe on the vehicle. That's the job of gap insurance. And you can buy it at the dealer, or you have a few days to go buy it directly from the bank or credit union that you are getting the money from. And then after the purchase, again, some credit unions will lower your interest about 6 to 9 months after you buy the vehicle. You go to them, you have to go to them and you have to tell them, hey, is it possible for you to lower this payment? I know that for those of you who are in Sonoma County, California, in Marin County, in San Francisco County, in Mendocino County, Redwood Credit Union is one such credit union. You go there every 6 to 8 months and you say, can you look at it? So if you got a loan for, let's say, 6%, every 6 months you can go back in hopes that they keep lowering your interest just a tiny bit, and then you continue to make the same amount of payment, but more of the money is going towards the principal, which means you're going to pay it off faster. And again, you have to ask them. They're not going to do it automatically. You have to ask them. 2, if you have been saving money and you can pay it off, pay the whole car off after 6 months, that's good. Most of these loans will not give you a punishment for paying it off ahead of time, and your credit will still go up as if you had been making payments for several years for that vehicle. If not, just keep up with the payments and again, try to lower the interest as much as possible. It's really, really important if the interest is high and they don't offer what Redwood Credit Union offers, that after 8 months of constant payments on time, that you ask them about refinancing, because that's very, very important. Again, you want to lower those payments, and depending on the economy and your payments, your interest may actually go down. Okay, so that's really, really important. And for those of you who already own a home, this is the time to refinance. I'm making this video in November of 2020. This is the time to refinance. Some individuals who are paying 3.8% interest on their cars or their homes are being able to refinance to 2.8, 2.7, and that in itself will save you a lot of months of payments in the long term. And with that, remember that in the 21st century, credit is king. My name is Rafael Vasquez Guzman. My show is Lideres del Futuro. My podcast is available on Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. I also have a YouTube page, Lideres del Futuro. And again, my website is lideresdelfuturo.org. You can also contact me on Instagram at Lideres del Futuro. And again, that has a double O at the end. Thank you for your time.